Okay, gentlemen, how are we feeling tonight about another episode of Seriously Casual, also known as Video Game Book Club? Lucky number, episode 13, Kirby Super Star for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
How you gentlemen doing tonight?
Awesome.
Good.
Still feeling a little hurt from Dark Souls 2, but I'm fine.
Hey, I feel that too.
These games are like, it's like the polar opposite.
I'm hurt from it too, and I haven't played it in 4 years.
There are.
Okay.
We'll get into it, but there are some things in this game that also sting. But that's neither here nor there. Like I was saying, we're here to talk about Kirby Superstar. Did you guys know that in the PAL regions, the name is Kirby's Fun Pack?
With
That
a
makes
K,
more
I
sense.
think.
With
That's
a K.
cute.
It's a
Way
fun
better.
pack.
That's a better title.
Yeah, originally released in Japan, March 21st. There's something about, like, we somehow keep playing games near their, like, release day. Like, or, like, at least in the same month. And it's kind of uncanny.
Sounds like
but,
the wheel is rigged.
yeah, so March 21st, 1996. So this was a late one. This was a late Super Nintendo game, and you can
Really?
kind of tell. And released here in North America, September 20th, 1996. So almost 20 years old, or almost 30 years old. Oh my God, I'm getting old that I thought that was 20. Oh no.
Yeah,
the
I was
90s
like,
were
no
10 years
joke.
ago.
The 90s were 10 years ago, that's right.
Hell yeah.
Oh, thank you,
I
Chris.
remember when they actually were 10 years ago.
But anyways, let's take a trip back to the 90s and talk about this here game, shall we? Anybody who would like to kick us off? Darth, this was your pick.
Yeah, it's my game. I'll go first. Just like my opening impressions. So I guess I'll say why I picked it. We usually say that. So like, me and like my brothers all hella played this game's like re-release on the DS when we all had like a DS, and we all just enjoyed it a crap ton. And I was like, okay, well, it actually was a long time till I realized that it was like a remake of another game. So I was like, well, here's a good opportunity for me to play a game that's dear to my heart and see what it sort of like came from. So I threw it on there, like I think pretty much at the start, and it finally came around, which is sick. First impressions, I mean, the game's kind of like a breeze. To me, it's like walking down kind of the streets of a hometown, like seeing areas that I remember having troubles with, remembering sort of like enemy locations, secret locations. So I'm very biased, I will say, but I had a really good time with it. It was a little bit more antiquated, obviously, than the newest version, but there were a lot of things about it that I thought were great, and I had a lot of the frustration that I have with a lot of games from this era kind of alleviated by what I thought was, a lot of easiness. I thought the music is excellent. The art is great. I even played some two-player mode to go back to my roots of playing it with my brothers.
Dang.
And I thought that was really fun too. I thought it was especially fun playing with another person. And I will just say, if like in terms of like games being made for kids, I think this is probably one of the most perfect kids video games ever. Just in its composition, its difficulty, its sort of inventiveness, and its childlike wonder.
Whimsy.
Yeah, I was gonna say whimsy.
So can I ask, does the difficulty adjust for playing two-player? Because I feel like if you have two people just going ham sandwich, like bosses must get chomped on.
But it absolutely does not adjust whatsoever. Nope. You could definitely play it super cheesy and just have your buddy just go ahead at all times, but I mean, I don't know. We both knew the game super well, so we were just running through it, gaming.
Fair enough. Who would like to follow Darth?
Can I go?
Go for it.
Yes.
So I'll keep this short. My introduction to this game was when I was, I don't know how old, 96, so 7-ish, 8 maybe, around when it would have come out. I had a sleepover at my friend Alex's house, and I remember playing this game and being so in love with it, so excited to play it that like it was time to go to bed. You know, we were kids, right? Mom says go to bed. Okay, whatever. And I like remember actively planning how to like sneak out of bed and play this shit overnight, you know, because I was just like totally mesmerized with this game. I loved it. I did not have the same experience playing it this time.
It's been a harsh almost 30 years.
Yeah, so we'll get into the details, and I'll spare them now. But I think generally speaking, my experience with this game can be summarized that I loved everything about it except for playing it. I really chafed a lot with actually playing this game for a lot of reasons. You guys, with hearing me talk about things from mechanics and like how big the character is and versus the size of the screen, where the enemies come from. Sometimes it can feel kind of cheap. That really irks me these days. I just have very little patience for it. So playing this game, I played it at the beginning of the month, right after book club, and then just tonight I ran through most of it again, and I was just like halfway pissed off the whole time. And I'm not talking like Spring Breeze or Gourmet Race. Those are just fun, whatever. I really liked those little mini games because it was just like Kirby being silly, and that's what Kirby is. He's silly. But you get into like the Great Cave Offensive and the Meta Knight Halberd level. I didn't do the 6th one because I just fucking didn't care. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself to the Milky Way level. I'm sorry, Darth, but by the time I was like done with the Meta Knight one, I was just over it. So that's me. I'm glad we played it though.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it is really like interesting how it's 8 games in one, as the box art would let you know.
Yeah, it must have been. That was definitely a bold marketing strategy.
Yeah.
A lie?
Yeah.
You mean lying?
Yeah, lying. But I mean, I guess I'll follow Colin in. Like, so I'm not the biggest fan of Kirby games. Like, I think a lot of the times they're like, Darth was saying, they're like this pleasant romp, and like sometimes it just feels like you just go through them. He does infinite jumps, you just fly through the air. But like, there's stuff to kind of pay attention to and kind of game around. What saves this game for me from that is how fun it is to play. Like, you get the copy abilities, like you throw a fireball with beam, or you can grab them and pull them and shoot them with the beam, and then you get Cutter, and then you get like his up B from Smash, like, and you can throw the things, and you get a dive kick. Like, it made it fun to play. Whereas like I could say that Milan's Doki Doki Adventure was very similar in maybe like the difficulty it presented for some portions. But in that game, it was like you could literally just hold forward and mash the attack button and you'd be fine. And that was kind of like all you could do. In Kirby, like, you run up against things, you can't do that. And then when you can't do that, it is fun to play. But like Colin was saying, sometimes it really rubs me the wrong way. And this is a me thing, because it's the way the Kirby games are. That the hit stun in Kirby games is probably bigger than Dark Souls 2. Yeah. Like, to have a appropriately timed comparison. Like, you will get hit and you will fly away, and then once you've landed, you will recover. And it's like 3 seconds later, oops, I rolled into an enemy that hit me and put me into the roll again. I'm like, holy moly. But not everything hits you like that, so it was just frustrating when it did happen. But like Darth was saying as well, the music is just a treat. That is one thing. I love Kirby music, and it's up there with like Mega Man X in that you hear a song and you're like, this is Kirby music. Like, it has such a distinct sound to it and feel that it's really pleasant, and it's really like frenetic, and it fits it perfectly. And then another pitfall to avoid it is Kirby game. Like, it's like Kirby games follow this formula where like they're games for babies until they aren't. And then there's just one or two things that are absolutely, I won't say brutal, because nothing was, well, Samurai Kirby and the arena are pretty brutal. But like Milky Way, whatever, like that final boss is like a big step up in difficulty from everything else. and it's just that's very on point for the Kirby games, like Kirby 64. One other Kirby game I played that was on the Game Boy Advance. What was that? The Amazing Mirror? Is that, or is that DS?
No, the mirror was was Game Boy Advance.
It was, okay, then it's that one. But it being like that, it's having some semblance of a challenge does save it from me just kind of being bored. That and it being pretty fun to play, but it does have its bugaboos in how it kind of handles itself in the normal gameplay. But overall, I had a good time.
Cool. I will take it from here. I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. The first time I played it was when I first discovered the wonder of the magic yard sale.
Ooh.
So this was probably around late elementary school, 6th grade, 7th grade. But anyways, when I played it back then, I was like, oh, this is all fine, but where's the rest of it? Is this it? And then I was like, okay, and I just put it down and forgot about it. And I was aware, I've been aware of its existence. And I know what it is. And when it came up, I was like, the first thing I thought was, did Darth mean to pick Dreamland 3? And he got it confused with this game. Sorry, Darth. Like, I know you have good childhood memories, and it sounds like you had a blast playing multiplayer, which I would think this is probably this game's biggest strength is the multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
But when I played it again for book club, it was what I expected it to be. It feels like a demo disc, like it's a demo or like a presentation, like a concept, like this is what we have so far, so imagine the rest of it. But I don't know, this game, I think what Darth said earlier about this game being perfect for children, that he hit the nail on the head. Like, there's not too much, it comes in small bite-sized pieces. For the most part, it's as easy as can be, basically. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this game simply because of the fact that it doesn't feel complete, and it feels just fragmented and not well thought out. I don't know, they just like took random mini games and random little bite-sized games, I guess, and just slapped them together and packaged it and sold it. So like, I've never really understood the point of this game, but people like it, so there's must be doing something. I mean, it's Kirby. And Kirby, like you guys have said, has great fucking music. The art is amazing. I mean, the graphics and the sound are great. Fantastic. But other than that, I'm not too sure about this one.
That pseudo 3D in the beginning is wild. I was like, this is Super Nintendo?
It's funny, not to go on a tangent, but it's funny how much of this just reminds me of like very, I want to say like beta N64 graphics,
Yeah, I think it's the soft textures.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into soft textures.
But what Super, like, to touch on what Super was saying, like, it does feel very Nintendo Land Kirby Edition, but yeah, obviously before Nintendo Land.
All of you
Yeah.
people are gonna know that game, by the way.
Listen,
It's a good example.
I bought a Wii U on launch. Nintendo Land was cool.
It was cool.
They dropped the ball on gamepad integration, but that's when in 10 years when we get into the Wii U episode, we'll touch on that.
You know, it's another good example. There was a Wario game on the Wii U. I forgot what it was called.
Oh,
But
yeah, it was good.
I bought it.
Game and
Really
Wario.
excited. Yeah, Game and Wario. I bought it because I was super excited. I thought it was basically, another WarioWare, but nope. It was just a little short, bite-sized thing, just like this game.
It's interesting that you say that, Super. I can totally see like how that would be off-putting, but I actually think that, and we can get into it later so we don't tangent, but I think that the sort of like beta-ness that you talk about is intentional, and I think that it also is kind of emblematic of what Kirby games originally are. And I haven't played the newest one, but that one's more like open world, but like what they were at the time. But I'll let other people talk before I get into that.
I could go next.
Go ahead.
I don't have notes, so I'll keep it brief. My point of reference for Kirby was always Dreamland 3. That was my Kirby game. That was the one I rented all the time and pretty obsessed with it. And so for years, people always talk about Superstar as if it's the greatest Kirby game or something. That's what it seems like to me. Like this is the one for people. Maybe I have the wrong. That's not the right impression. I don't know. But it feels like people really, really love this game. So I've never actually played it. Always curious about it. And I kind of really love it. It's conceptually crazy. It does feel like a proof of concept sort of game, and it's really all over the place. But I agree with what Danny was saying. It feels just really good to play. Like all the abilities and stuff are just excellent, and it's kind of a really good showcase for the Super Nintendo, like a late Super Nintendo game. Like I feel like this and Yoshi's Island are just like they're on a sort of a similar wavelength, just in terms of complexity and
Yeah, like check out all this shit we can do.
yeah, and it's just really impressive, and it's like just the very concept of it being just all these not mini games, but brief games.
I would use the word adventures.
Boxer
Yes.
brief adventures.
Yeah, box of brief adventures. It's I don't know, it's very unique, and it does sort of feel in line with some of the games that we have played, but it's just it's on another level, I think, just in terms of how it feels and all the polish and everything. Turns out they knew what they were doing with Kirby.
This is amazing. I feel like I played a different video game.
I'm right,
So,
right there with you, Colin.
I think
I'm gonna say I did have some problems, particularly with Great Cave Offensive. I think some of the level design is kind of
Not good.
bad, or it's not. I can't say it's bad. It's just
Not
it's
thought out.
Gets a little uninspired.
directionless.
Yes.
I wouldn't even say uninspired. It's more just like it doesn't guide you very well. And like there's like parts in Great Cave Offensive where you're just sort of there's like optional areas that you can't really tell where to go, but we can maybe get into that later. That was so I don't know. I still think Dreamland 3 is more cohesive, so maybe that one is still my preferred Kirby game. But this one, I think the abilities and everything are pretty sweet. I'm going off a bit, so maybe Holden, what do you think?
Sure. So just like you guys, I'm not the biggest Kirby fan. I like Kirby. He's a great
Love
guy.
Kirby.
I played a NES one randomly, and I remember thinking, wow, this game looks great for a NES game, and then I got put to sleep immediately. It was so boring and easy. I played an N64 one, the crystal one at the dentist a ton, and thought it was the most magical thing ever. I played Air Ride, which we don't talk about here.
Oh, we're
I
gonna
played
talk
Epic
about
Yarn on the DS, and then the Switch one. So it's like that's kind of a weird Kirby point of reference. But I launched this one, and it gave me similar feelings of the NES game, where I was like, okay, the game's pretty, it's nice, but like, where's the game? And like finished Spring Breeze and was like, kind of feeling how Super felt, where I was like. It felt mismatched at the time because I was like, okay, there's like some cool mechanics here, but I didn't even use them. And as I was playing each game that was unlocking, I started really liking the game more and more. I was like, hey, there's some like really fun nuance here that you can just capitalize on if you want to play that way. And I think being able to play in different ways, leveraging all of Kirby's abilities in this game can be really fun at times. But yeah, I find that so interesting. The treasure game was easily my favorite. And
Interesting.
And then the two past that, I was just like, oh man, I love the Meta Knight time thing. I love timed missions. And then the final Milky Way galaxy or whatever it's called, I just had a blast with. So, and then I thought what you said, Danny, a point of comparison with Doremi Fantasy was really good because running them back to back, I was like, yeah, this is a really polished experience in comparison. Where personally, I think Doremi Fantasy was like this really cute experience, and there were a lot of questionable decisions. And personally, I felt more like Cornhole, where by the time I finished this game, everything felt pretty purposeful and well thought out, in my opinion. It was communicated very well to me, the whole experience. So, yeah, those are my opening thoughts.
Yeah, I just like I can't help but shake the feeling. It's like I understand they were going for something, like making them like their little bite-sized adventures, but I would have definitely preferred it just been a game. Like they could have
Same.
like the copy ability works different. Like one thing I thought was a little like, come on now, like in Milky Way Milkshake or whatever it's called, the final one or the penultimate one because the arena's last. Once you find an ability, you can just equip it, which is really cool. And then when you look at the menu where it shows you all the abilities, it gives you like the move list for it. And I'm like, why am I on the last thing? And it's telling me how these work.
You can do that in all the other areas too.
Yeah,
You
do it in
can.
all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it doesn't like when you do the tutorial thing, it tells you about hitting start. And before that, it doesn't. Which I found really funny. I did the first tutorial thing. It was like, have you ever played this before? And I hit no just for like the gameplay footage. And if you don't listen to it, it says, you're not listening with an exclamation point. I'm like, hey, game, don't sass me. But
Just real quick, are you talking about like the ability to switch like the deluxe copy that's only applicable in the last game, or are you talking about just like seeing the move list when you pause?
yeah, well, so the deluxe copy, but it doesn't like specifically mention like, so I didn't know that you could press start and look at your ability, like your move list, because it doesn't mention that in the tutorial before that.
That's
Yeah.
fair. It's a game for kids, so they should probably have put that in there.
Yeah, it was
Sure.
just really weird that they pointed it out at the very end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I personally felt like I would have really. I'm gonna say that most of my frustration with the Great Cave Offensive specifically would have been alleviated had deluxe copy been in there.
Interesting. Like you
'Cause-
found that there were. Yeah, tell me about it.
So, and I don't know. I guess this is gameplay, but and you'll have to forgive me because my experience with Great Cave Great Cave, whatever that one, was like a month ago. So I'm just kind of trying to remember. There's a lot of, I think, what people were saying is like some maze-like progression, right, where it's not exactly clear where you have to go, and what that led to for me was situations where like you get into a room and you need a fire ability to shoot a cannon. Okay, fine. But the last time you saw a fire guy was like, 2 rooms ago. So it means I have to go back and get a fire thing. Or like fire is just an example. I don't have a real one, but it's like that is one that I've seen multiple times in the game. But there was one specifically in the tower with the Great Cave Offensive that like you needed a hammer and you had to go through a whole cycle of the tower. It seemed like I tried this for like 30 minutes and you had to like do this cycle and not lose the ability, and you had to get the hammer in that cycle and then like go down into the basement and use the fucking hammer. And I'm like, dude, if you die, you have to do that shit again, and it's fucking annoying. And it's like,
Yeah.
Wait,
I
I have a
just-
question.
just let me pick it, right? Anyway,
What's the bare minimum you need to beat that?
I don't know.
Because for me, I just looped on myself and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna finish it here.
Treasure?
Yeah.
I
0.
don't know.
You can get
Oh, yeah,
0,
okay,
and it
so-
says you got 0 treasure. The funny
make
thing
fun
is,
of you?
Colin, for that section. Actually, I should let Holden finish what he was saying first.
Oh, I was just gonna say with that kind of design, I'm all for supporting that. Like, put some tantalizing treasure chests. Like, ooh, how do you get that one? Maybe you gotta do something ridiculous. It's optional. Like, I'm all for that personally.
I think the hard part for me was that like specifically with that one, I didn't know what was optional and what wasn't. All the doors, I think, have the same like visual identifier. It's a door with stars. I'm like, is this a candy door or is this progression door?
Yeah, Colin, I had the exact same experience. It was the tower and that hammer room, and I was going in loops in that tower, and I was driving myself crazy. And then I realized
weird.
I looked online and it said it's optional. Of course, it's optional. I'm like, oh, well.
I did that for like
Also,
45 minutes and hated it.
furthermore, you can break those things with the rock power up, and it's only like 2 or 3 rooms away.
Oh,
I'm pissed.
that
We
is
got the master
devastating.
here. Sensei, teach us.
But no, like I mean, I only knew that because I played the game hella as a kid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's never really overly explained to you. But I believe you actually need rock to get to that section, don't you?
No.
I guess that wouldn't make sense because then how would you dream to get there with the hammer? But I also was like, fuck, how do I do this? And then I was like, oh yeah, with the hammer. I want to say that like, whenever it comes to this game feeling like kind of like all over the place, whenever I play it, I kind of feel like there's two sort of things. Like you can kind of like look at each game, quote unquote game, as like a world, essentially. And that's kind of how I look at it, and thus the game feels complete to me. Because I feel like, okay, I breathe Spring Breeze world, now moving on to Dynablade world. And secondly, I feel that this game literally is almost a tech demo, but more like a concept demo for what Kirby could be. Because if you look at the game before it, right, Dreamland 2, if you look
That's
at
right.
that game, right, versus this game has Kirby with powers that have like a bunch of different ways to use them, walking jump attack, running jump attack. Like some of them have like command grabs, literally.
Yeah,
The
it's so cool.
suplex is so good.
Yeah, right. Like, and then you look at, oh, this is Kirby, and he is, like the first world is just them recreating the first Kirby game, right? That's what Spring Breeze is. To me, that's them saying like, that was Kirby then. Look at what he is now. Look at what he can be. Look at all the different ways we can use the powers. Look at the different types of games he can be in. He can be in, a simple, that simple version that he used to be, or it could be more like a Super Mario World via Dynablade, or it can be more of like a collectathon adventure in the Great Cave Offensive. It can be an intense story-driven kind of like action platformer in Meta Knight. It can be a lot of different things, and to me, that's kind of what they were trying to present me with, is all these different things Kirby can do. And I think that kind of makes sense considering even the type of character he is. He's the jack of all trades, And I think that thematically, the way that the different quote-unquote games work, it's 2 thumbs up for me. When you look at it, I think that's just greedy American consumerism with
Like,
the 8
what
games in
way?
one thing.
Listen
what
here,
way?
pal.
Yeah, that
You're
American
talking about
company
the advertised
Nintendo.
game amount.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, there's plenty of Atari games that were like, it's 50 games on this card because it just like has all those different modes. Yeah.
Because
It is- it's a little
is the
bit small.
original version of this game, like in Japanese, 8 games in one?
I don't know.
Because
It's
I
called
kind
Super
of
Pack, so probably.
super pack. Yeah,
Isn't that what you said,
I don't
Danny?
know.
No, that was in PAL.
Oh, well, okay.
But anyway, all I'm saying is that I think that some of that is intentional, even though it seems kind of sleazy.
Yeah, it's one of those It's a game that feels like they were super excited about the platform. It's one of those sequels where they were making the most out of being 16-bit and just really excited. Maybe they had no idea what they really wanted to do, so they just tried a bunch of things.
Yeah, I was all there for it.
Darth, I just want you to know, I completely agree with what you said, like tying Kirby's ability to mirror and copy and do his own thing with abilities to like, oh, he can be in a Mario World-esque game or like a Metroidvania. Love the idea. I think it checks out like thematically and all that, but something about the way this game physically played, just I hated it.
That's fair, man. That is totally fair.
So, like I have 2 very different scores for this game in my subjective, objective already pinned down to reflect that.
Well, and I got brain fog. Did you talk about like other 2D Kirby's you enjoy? Or is this
No,
an outlier?
I actually wanted to go into that because my first Kirby game, and I would love to know what other people's was Kirby's Dream Land, I think, for the Game Boy. Fucking love that game. Oh my god, I love that. I played that game so much. And I think that I'll go into this later, but I have a theory about why I don't like some of the design in this game. But that game was just, there's no copying, right? You just, Kirby can suck up things and shoot them out, or he can blast air at people. That's it. And there was no, like, some of the platforming in this game is pretty tight, I think. In the later ones, like, you have to, like, maybe navigate some spikies or some hot lava walls while you're trying to fly, and there's enemies flying at you. And he's so slow. And every time I got hit, and there's like 3 years of the hit stun, I'm like, Jesus,
Yeah.
you know, it's so fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I have loved all other Kirby games I have played, and again, when I played this as a kid, I was co-oping it with my best friend at the time, and I had the time of my life. I loved it, and maybe that's the co-op experience, like it's less lame or something, but. Dreamland was my first, and I think Kirby is best when it's left simple, although Magic Shards, I guess, the N64 one was fantastic, and I loved that as a kid.
Oh yeah, that one's good too.
Kirby 64 is amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
Definitely.
Because Kirby, Kirby 64 or Kirby and the Crystal, isn't it Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards or something?
Yeah.
That was my first Kirby game, and it's still my favorite. And I'm waiting for them to make the sequel.
It's a banger.
Yeah, my first Kirby game wasn't this one. I'm pretty sure it was the NES one, Kirby's Adventure. Which I don't know. You guys were mentioning earlier about like the copy abilities and how they feel really good in this game. I can't remember exactly how they were in the NES one, but they were pretty similar. You did have different moves that you could do with like each ability, but like from this point onward in the Kirby series, all the copy abilities are like super fleshed out. So I will, like Darth was mentioning earlier, like this game laid a lot of groundwork for the future Kirby, and yeah, that I can see that and I appreciate it, but like it feels like it should have been presented in a different way, in my opinion. Like this game should have been like a bonus, like a pre-order bonus or some shit. I don't know, like it's just, I guess it's just my brain and the way I see a game being a game. Like you have a demo disc, and then you have a demo, and then you have like a finished product that feels like one cohesive experience. I don't know. To me, it's just like the little things that break up the experience that kill it for me. Like each thing on its own is fine, but I don't know. The way it's presented, in my opinion, I can roll with it.
I mean,
That's
like,
fair, man.
I'm of two minds. Like, I feel like it's weird. I found Great Cave Offensive aptly named. It went on way too long. I was like, I'm over this about halfway through. Like it wasn't that fun to find the treasures. Like when you
there were
found
ones that were worth like $1 million.
yeah,
Donnie.
when you found a Triforce and it was worth 18 grillion, you're like, oh, that's cool. And then it literally does nothing. Like,
Wait,
if
can I
it-
ask what were all your guys' scores real quick?
I should have taken a picture, dude. Fuck.
mine's
All I know
probably-
is I got 30 out of 60.
Yeah, I
but
might
what's
be
the
able to look at the
numeric
gameplay,
score?
but mine was like under 2 or 20 million, or like the last number, like as big as it could be, was a 2, and I think I barely crested it. But it was not. I guess, a Super Mario World type overworld person, like, because I was perfectly fine with it split into levels, but when it was just this one big giga level, and like some of the zones weren't too fun to actually go through, it was just like, okay, I'm over this about like 60% through it. So the rest of it was just like, okay, this is definitely overstayed its welcome. That when I saw the end, I was like, thank God. But I didn't have that problem with any of the other ones, except for, oh my God, I shouldn't admit this, but the gameplay is going to show up. Gourmet Race, I didn't know you could dash. But the first time that I did it, I almost won. So I thought that was how it was. And I was like, what the fuck? How are you supposed to win this when he's just faster than you? And I was like, maybe you just got to get the items and that speeds you up, and it doesn't tell you that. And I'm like, this is impossible. So I like, you'll see in my gameplay, I was like, this is stupid. I hate this. I want to go back to playing the actual game. So like, you'll see me just reset and just move on to something else.
You were
And,
dashing just there on screen just now. I saw it.
No, I'm teabagging.
When you play Mega Man X, don't you dash
I
with
do double tap
tapping?
dash.
Yeah, it's funny. I would have thought that would have been an instinct for you.
Well, Kirby, I'm more aerial. He flies. He can jump.
I didn't realize you could double tap.
He's like a
dash
blimp,
and make-
dude.
He has a blimp.
Controls like a blimp too.
He does control like a blimp, but look at my poor helper here. He controls more like a blimp.
He's trying his best.
I think
Tech's
the
trying his
helper-
best.
Helper in this game is a lot more useful than GUI and Dreamland 3. I feel like GUI just always got in the way.
I was
Got
pretty
himself killed and
impressed. A CPU could follow Kirby around pretty much every game, other than the lava areas.
Well, I mean, it will also teleport them, like if you get too far and he can't figure something out.
Yeah, but it's still for a SNES game, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The CPU could also like read and react to enemies as they were appearing on screen. So I like to let my buddy go ahead of me to deal with that bullshit.
There were a couple bosses where the helper pretty much did all the work and I just sat around.
Yeah, I
Like-
think you bring up a good point, Colin. Like one of the big things for me is like how quick the enemies appear in front of you and like how little time you have to react to them.
Yes.
That's definitely like inexcusable.
Yes.
And I don't know. For me, I was just like, I actually like. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I pretty much have the entire game like memorized in my brain. So it like, but even still, I was getting like fucking like, getting like surprised. So yeah, I think that highlights a serious like flaw. I've found that flaw to be present in a lot of the SNES games we've played. I don't know if that's like a SNES game thing or just an old game thing. I don't know, but yeah, that sucks.
It's both. I think it has to do with size of character versus size of enemies and the speed at which you can move versus the speed they can move and navigate the shared terrain.
Right.
So all of those factors kind of mix together to make each game's individual cocktail of like how fast can you react and outmaneuver whatever the threat is. And here, Kirby's not terribly big. The enemies aren't terribly big, but he's fucking slow. And sometimes like there's just like ouchy walls everywhere and you can't go anywhere,
Yeah.
Mm.
The tightness of the controls
on it, yeah.
definitely. It could have used something, but I mean that's just kind of the
dash
Kirby
dash.
games. He always controls like that.
Which, and not to go back to like the Kirby's Dream Land example, but it's a Game Boy game, so it's inherently going to be like super simple. But I feel like the slow pace I think it was slow, but I remember from when I was a kid, the slow pace of that game really suited how Kirby controls. And I think, isn't Kirby 60... Nice 7. Isn't Kirby
nice job.
64... Isn't Kirby 64 kind of like... I don't recall this problem, but
No,
maybe...
it feels a lot like this. I remember thinking, wow,
Okay.
this feels... Because one thing that I don't like in the way Kirby moves is that if you hit up, like he does the breath hold, and he'll start to float. And like sometimes I want to like maneuver through the air a little like more accurately, and he just starts floating. I gotta spit it out, and then my finger rolls up, and then he does it again, and I just get stuck in this loop of like just breathing in the air.
Were you guys using the dash?
Listen, man.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not even memeing because
I
like
was thinking the same thing.
most of the time, if I wanted that like precision, I would just keep Kirby on the ground. Most of the attacks you could just be grounded Kirby.
Totally.
Yeah, but he's got
So,
no
like-
He
jumps.
runs pretty quick. He runs pretty fast.
If you're running and then you like run into like I thought the only actual issue was like whenever you were playing the Meta Knight levels, which seemed to incentivize you to go fast, the game didn't really let you go fast. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was like the main problem. Otherwise, I just went as slow as I needed to, and then I didn't really get shit on.
If I had a main complaint with the controls, this especially showed up in Gourmet Race. It's just the double tap to dash. I always prefer a run button. Because especially if you're landing the way he lands, then you kind of have to double tap again
Yeah.
to dash. I've never really liked that very much.
Totally.
Was that the case in Doremi Fantasy? I've already forgotten that game.
Oof.
I think you held a button.
Which game
Plus
had
one to Doremi.
Wasn't it just Y, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, you just held a button. for sure, like Mario.
Which game did we
I
just
mean-
play that had double tap?
Other
and dash?
counterpoint, there were a couple abilities like the flame where you got the dash. So
Yes.
I'm for Kirby's immobility.
And the tire
The thing
and the
about
jet.
Kirby is he doesn't control like a traditional platform
Mm.
character, right? Like most platformer characters have like this momentum and like it carries them and the jump and like it's more about like making precision jumps, like landing on small platforms, right? The Kirby's not about that because he can fly, obviously, but I think the flight being slow is intentional, well, obviously, but the reason it is the way it is to limit the player's ability to maneuver because flying is very powerful, obviously.
Mhm.
You just fly over everything, but it's slow and it runs out eventually.
And the game itself is generally very like confined, where you're
Right,
where you
right,
are. So
Right.
I agree. I think it works in that way. Sort of maybe not so fun for me, but I see
You
how they did
should
it.
you should try do you have a DS? Sorry to go on a tangent, but
Mm-mm.
for those of you who have a 3DS, try to somehow play Triple Deluxe.
Oh,
Kirby Triple Deluxe.
yeah.
That's a great example of just straightforward Kirby platformer. Go. It's great. I love it.
It's 2D. I guess they never did 3D until the most recent one, right?
What do you-
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it is 2D.
Oh, it's like a 2.5D. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and you know what? Like, too, like, I shouldn't, like, because it's not the game, but also it's hard for it not to infect my opinion of this game, but, like, the re-release of this game makes a lot of this shit a lot better, I will say.
I like that
I
it's called
think, anyways.
Kirby Super Star Ultra. I just
Kirby
slap a
Super
Street
Star
Fighter
Ultra.
on there.
I don't know what the hell changed, man. I
I'm
don't know
just
what the hell
curious.
changed.
I should play that to see.
I like one thing that is amazing is that it lets you in Great Cave Offensive at the save points, lets you teleport between them.
Ooh.
That'd be nice.
So you can go back and forth with power-ups and shit, which is nice.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, Colin, Spring Breeze was easy, effortless for you. Probably
Mhm.
pretty boring in general.
I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was fun
Okay.
and easy breezy. No pun intended, like Kirby should be, I think.
I'm curious for all of you, at what level or game select did the game start feeling either tedious or annoying to play?
Great Cave Offensive.
Yeah, Great Cave Offensive.
Great Cave Offensive.
Yeah.
We'll take it back.
Yeah.
I like Great Cave Offensive. It's not my favorite, but I do like it.
It was never really tedious or annoying for me. It was more like, I don't know, just boring.
I like going for the secrets, man. Were you guys just trying to get through it, or were you like, ooh,
Well,
maybe
No,
this
I,
secret
I
would be
was
good?
looking, and then
Yeah. me
the
too.
worst part is there was no payoff. Like that was the
Exactly.
worst part.
It'd be big numbers.
Exactly.
You'd
Yeah,
let the
yeah, big
numbers go
Well,
up.
yeah, I mean, I think maybe the thing is that, you just have to do it, like, for your own, like, sake of doing it. It's like doing a video game challenge. Nobody...
Listen, you're
know what I'm
talking
saying,
to
man?
somebody who spent 2.5 hours doing Samurai Kirby last night while Super Stream.
What's wrong with you?
I needed to beat it.
It's hard, man.
It's impossible. That shit pissed me off.
You just have to guess when the
Yeah.
he's gonna
And that is
strike.
how I ended up winning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh man. No, I mean I think that the game kind of is just like it just celebrates you for collecting as many treasures as you wanted to. Like, I don't know. That's
You know
kind
what
of
I would have liked more is if it didn't lock a mode behind it. If it was like, hey, if you want to do this, go ahead. But it was like, hey, you better do this if you want to play all this game's content. I'm like,
just
"But I
beat it
don't
like a regular
wanna."
Kirby game, then just don't collect the treasures. It doesn't punish you for not taking them.
It still
Yeah,
went
but then
on
it's
for way
just
too
running
long.
through a cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what all the games are. You're just running
No,
through
no,
things.
no,
You know what?
Yes.
no, they're not.
I
I can
disagree.
appreciate that.
A lot of Kirby games have levels that are designed like for a long form game where the difficulty gets progressively harder and I don't know, like they present challenges in different ways. Like this game, I don't know, I never really felt like anything was thought out too well, like because they just wanted these little bite-sized pieces that didn't have to be too complex, or I don't know. I'm having trouble describing exactly what I mean. Like you play a long Kirby game, they have to think of different ways to challenge you to keep it fresh, right? Because there's so many levels. Like this game doesn't have that. It's just like you're just running through a hallway and there's a couple enemies plopped down. Like I could fire up Mario Maker right now and just make a simple hallway with a couple Goombas. That's what this game feels like. The whole thing.
I think maybe that's how it felt for you, but not for me, man.
Oh yeah, that's
I have
fine.
I have a question that's related. Also, a point I've been wanting to kind of explore regarding like how the enemies are placed in the level layouts. And part of me feels like to your point, it isn't intentional and it doesn't feel like thoughtfully designed, because with so many abilities to choose from, it's really impossible to set it up in any like specifically intentional way. You just pick whichever one has the most spammy move you can do, like the bombs, for example, and just mash Y, that kind of thing. That's how I felt about every game beyond Spring Breeze, Dino Race, and Gourmet Race, not counting the other little mini games.
I'll say I liked the, or I saw what they were going for with Great Cave Events, of like the concept of a just non-linear Kirby game. You could just see that they were exploring the concept, which I could appreciate. But it was mostly the level layout, like I said, because there was no real indication of which was a non-linear or which was a optional path.
Yeah, like what's gonna take me to the next area and what's gonna be.
Well, there's different looking doors. They have different stars around them if they're gonna take you to the next area.
Sometimes they didn't though. Like
No, but it was always the bottom right
to
of
the
three.
next area. Like when you got the minecart part, it would have the extra sprinkles, but within those, there would be doors that led to some random bullshit or the next room, and it was just like, if you're wanting to get through.
The game always let you go back through.
And furthermore, I think you'd like get one treasure and then you'd keep going and then you get another treasure and there'd be like a blank spot in your inventory. You'd be like, oh shit, I missed something. Then you'd have to like go back. I think that the game is like Great Cave Events is really good just until that one castle level where it's just way too over the place. But for me, the game feels like less like a crazy maze. Regardless of that part is bad. I will agree. But like I was just like, it's less of a maze, more just kind of like a hallway with a few kind of like pit stops along the way. I don't know. But I also say that with this game super ingrained into my brain, so I just knew where I was going the whole time. So it's maybe biased, but
yeah, like with a little bit more effortless experience, like it could be like a smooth race to the finish type thing, which I could see being more fun. But when you're trying to like find your way through and it's like, am I supposed to look for this? Do I just want this to end? Like it was a little more like frustrating. Well, frustrating is not too hard, but it was just like I was over it by about halfway through.
That's fair enough.
Same.
And I mean, but does that maybe lend credence to the way that the games are spread out then? That if you
because
get bored, you
as soon
move
as I
on?
was done with that, I was like, oh, thank God, like the Meta Knight one is like what it is. Also, can we talk about how sick the art for the Meta Knight's Revenge thing is?
Oh shit, yes.
It's
Oh my God,
nasty. It was my
beautiful.
favorite thing. I was like, oh my God, this is sick.
Like the title screen for it.
Yeah, like on the little clipboard thing.
Definitely.
I don't know if anyone can disagree that the art in this game is top notch across the board.
That's
amazing.
great.
Yeah, I think it's also amazing.
Kirby games, I like that.
Yeah,
I have
it's
a lot
amazing
to
how
say
every.
about the art.
Oh, sorry. Just wanted to say the UI being different on every game is also a really.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
especially
Cool
the
touch.
Meta Knight one. That one was cracking me up.
Let's see.
Kirby's in the air ducts. What's he doing?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, like
funny that you-
Alien Man.
It's funny that you mentioned the UI being different and you liking that. That's another one of the things that I was like, hey, stop. You can't do that. Cut it out.
I see you.
Why is it different?
I thought that Meta Knight Revenge of Meta Knight, whatever, it as a set piece was fantastic. The whole composition of it.
I like being on the halberd, trying to struggle to get back. Yeah, it
Right.
was a cool storyline, like Darth was saying, like that they can have this like kind of deeper, like here's your action adventure thing.
Hmm. Yeah, in the context of looking at all of these as like Super Mario World worlds, that one was the most cohesive, fun to play world.
Hmm.
I didn't
That
try
one's a
the
fan
Milky Way
favorite, I
'cause
think.
because I flushed the game, but you know.
So good.
I love Milky Way so much. It's one of my favorites, to be honest.
It had a good difficulty ramp too.
I didn't
Yeah.
know what
It
the
felt
fuck
really
was
good as
going
a
on
final
throughout the
level.
whole thing. The sun and the moon are fighting, and now there's this weird guy who looks like he's stoned in space, but he's also a clock robot. And I was like, what?
Yeah, and Kirby's just hustling the whole time. Like, we're doing
Yeah.
this, Kirby.
He's like, okay, I'll just like kill a god. Don't mind me. It's a Kirby moment for sure. Always ends that way.
Kirby's great. I love Kirby.
I think the
Character.
game builds on itself perfectly up to that point too, because you're like, you know, you've experienced all the powers, and then the game's like, okay, we're gonna put you in hard levels now, and you're gonna start with like no powers, and it's like, okay, now you get like just this power, and you're gonna have to like go through the levels with just that one. Okay, now you have 2 to pick
Mhm.
from.
No,
and
I really like that system where it was like you can just, because me, like when I find something I wanted, like I didn't have to like hustle, be like, oh, I need to find a, what is he called? Shoot, Sir Kibble, like the cutter
oh, the
guy.
ninja.
He's a
Oh,
homie.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the ninja was tight too. When I got the ninja and I realized you can Azuna drop kick, or you can drop
Yes,
kick into
dude,
the
it's so
Azuna
OP.
drop, was so sick. Like you just
Yes,
dive.
man. Or you like press B right after taking damage, and you can like fucking Naruto that shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
ninja
cool,
was
man.
super tight.
I found
I didn't
crazy
like
tech,
Ninja.
by the way.
Oh.
With
No
the,
way.
With the yo-yo, how you can do the spin kick through lava walls.
It's like,
Really?
word?
It's crazy. It gives you iframes. Yeah. This
Oh,
game
that
is
makes
crazy
sense.
Sick tech, man.
That makes sense.
Like, I agree with you guys. Like it's cool and all, but like there's other Kirby games that do the same shit that are, you know, more well put together.
So what
Sorry,
do you think?
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate asshole in this episode. Sorry.
I wanted to ask because you mentioned Kirby's Adventure earlier as well, in terms of the copy moves feeling pretty good and stuff. But I felt something in particular was like the hammer moves and the yo-yo. Everything felt way more complex, and even compared to Dreamland 3, which came out 2 to 3 years after this, and like there's something about like the weightiness and just the complexity of the moveset you have. It felt like that. This is a tier above that. I know Dreamland also had the animal companion, so they kind of expanded the moves that way. But yeah, like this I don't know a ton about Kirby's Adventure, but I feel like this was more advanced. Well, that one, I guess I'm comparing it more to Dreamland 3 than I am Adventure, but I don't know. Do you not think that this game is like feels more advanced than some of the other previous?
No, it feels way more advanced in terms of moving around and the way the copy abilities work, but they should have taken that advanced feeling and put it inside of a more well thought out, fleshed out, complete experience.
Sure, yeah.
And later Kirby games do that exact thing. That's exactly what they do.
Well, I suppose we can just we're just gonna have to agree to disagree, man.
One thing I want to
No.
say real quick about
Fight
this
it out.
game and the future of Kirby's is I was so impressed by how timeless so many of these copy abilities and designs have been.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot
like
of
that they're
these
just
were
the same
established-
thing, but just in the new games.
Yeah, and like that's a testament of good design, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
this game definitely established the standard for the way copy abilities work, for the most part. Some games do it differently, like Kirby 64, where you can combine 2 powers, which I wish they would bring back, by the way. That shit was so cool. There were
Turn into a
different power
refrigerator.
combinations. Yeah, it was awesome. But, yeah, pretty much every Kirby game going forward, except for the weird ones like Epic Yarn and, what was the DS one called? Canvas Curse, which is fucking fantastic. But
And there's Planet Robobot, which I forgot existed before I was looking up Kirby games.
that's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
one too. It has a gimmick where you build a robot and use it to fight. But anyways, yeah, this game did definitely establish the standard for copy abilities.
I
One
will say
thing-
also,
Okay.
just in terms of a game being fleshed out, when I was playing Great Game Offensive, this also speaks to how quickly I can turn on a game when I find something that I really don't like. I suddenly hate the entire thing. When I was playing Great Cave Offensive, at first. I was like, this one feels like it could be fleshed out into an entire game. Like if they had just released Great Cave Offensive as a fully fleshed out game.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I was like, yeah, this would be a great Kirby game. I also felt the same about the Meta Knight one. I feel like if they were to do any one, it should have been that one.
Did anybody get
Anyway.
200 in Megaton Punch?
No,
I got 190.
I did it like once, and I was like, I beat this loser and moved on.
Same.
I had to win.
You had to win.
One thing that I totally forgot about until I was kind of looking at the gameplay. Like another thing, I don't know if you walked into this as well, Colin, but I'd be playing and I'd get a healing item and my helper would be flying around me and I'd just start kissing him and I'm like, get
Yeah,
out of the
what's
fucking
that,
way!
dude?
Like it would completely ruin the.
This is when
like,
you smooch your
I
homie, dude.
loved
like
when my
I'm
when
all
Kirby
for
kissed my
smooching
homie.
homies, but stop interrupting my game because it would happen like back to back when you get like 3 healing items. Like get this fucking guy out of the way. I'm trying to game.
So cute.
Of all the,
Pauses. The game pauses. It doesn't happen that often. You can avoid them.
I picture Daddy like trying to like fight the enemies off, and his friends just like.
Stop, dude.
of the majority of things in this game that irritated me, that was not one of them.
Oh.
That was always like a hell yeah.
We smooch our homies around here.
Using tongue. They're definitely
It's-
using tongue.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
fun when you're playing with 2 players. You're like, get over here, give Papa some sugar. Come here. Give
See,
me that
that's way
tomato."
funnier.
Oh.
Like if I was sitting next to Colin on the couch and like, you're getting smooched. Like that's funny. But when it's a CPU getting in my way, it's less
Yeah,
fun.
that's
Yeah.
weird.
No,
It's a totally
the
different
one
thing.
time the CPU took the Maxim tomato, and I was like, okay, come on, man. And then he kissed me, and I was like, oh, thank
He,
you.
he
So-
baby birded some tomato into your mouth.
Yeah.
Aw,
I was like,
you
instead of
killing me.
kissing, this
You
is
don't
just
even
like
have to chew.
he's just like putting food from his mouth into your mouth.
Mm,
That's exactly what
A
that's
tongue
what they're
shovel.
doing. Tongue shovel, nice.
Get over here, bro. I split some for you.
I feel like I was gonna say something and this completely ruined my train of thought. Well, damn it.
Well,
I mean,
Well, then-
we could try talking about a specific aspect. We already talked about the art, but we talked about the music. I think you talked about everything, right? Gameplay.
well, then that's something you want to say
story.
about the art, I think.
Yeah.
Soft textures.
Soft,
Softness,
textures.
yeah. I don't like pixel art that has these soft feather edges, but I think it was masterfully done art, and the background's not my favorite. Again, leading into that like soft, almost like half rendered look. But the sprites, sheesh, 10 out of 10
Yeah.
sprites for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. The animations too.
Yeah,
Yeah, the animations are
as well.
great. Oh, what was your guys' favorite copy ability?
It's a good
The,
question.
the one that the beetle gives you.
Oh, suplex?
Slam suplex, yeah,
Oh yeah, man, that one's sick.
for free. That's the best one, in my opinion.
I think the Mirror
I-
Wizard was like the easy, like boring one. Go on, Barf.
No, you go.
I don't know what my favorite one was though.
Okay. I was
Yo-yo's
gonna
also
say,
sick.
I was gonna say hammer was mine because I love getting off the Giga Fire Hammer hit and
The
just
hammer hits do feel really
dunking
good,
on
yeah.
someone. Just
Make
like
great make a great sound when they hit.
Yes,
the
dude,
hammer
oh my
was good.
God. So sick.
Yeah, Hammer, Yo-Yo, and Parasol was actually quite nice, I thought.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, the sound is a big part of it. I think there's just the little hits and stuff in this game.
Yeah,
Dreamland
the
3.
little-
Yeah, Dreamland 3 uses a lot of the same sound effects and just sound font, I guess, for music. It's all
I
very
loved
pleasant.
how some of these abilities would compound when you turned your CPU into them. Like the wheel you could ride. I don't know if you guys noticed, like some of them, when you had your buddy be sword dude, if you're holding up, when like landing, he would like launch you up, like for a high jump.
I was too busy
There's
kissing
some
him to
cool stuff
notice.
you could do.
Yeah.
It's a Dragon's Dogma moment.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, man.
I was Team Cutter. Like I think I played most of them with Cutter until I actually figured out what the hell was going on with Plasma, and I pretty much ruined my left thumb doing it.
Oh yeah.
But all
Oh,
you have
yeah.
to do is just do fireball motions as you're just playing the game, and you charge up that Giga Wave that does a bazillion damage. And I was just tearing through stuff with plasma. I used plasma for probably 70% of the arena, just because you could
I
just
like to.
Yeah.
I pulled it out for the JRPG fight because it gives you that little window, you
Mhm.
know.
That was a really
Yeah,
cool fight, by the way.
It was
I
was
love
great.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this Windows UI? What am I looking at? And it was like, it attacks. I was like, oh wait, it's a
Especially how
RPG.
dynamic it is. Like you accidentally like whiff or jumping away, and it's like Kirby took a break. It's
yeah,
like,
it took a
I was-
timeout. It's
I
like,
was
no, I
not
just
taking a
suck, okay?
timeout.
Totally.
So is that more like Dragon Quest or Earthbound?
Dragon Quest, I guess.
Yeah, it was like classic Final Fantasy blue window prompts, but they look like Windows boxes.
Yeah, my
think
first
They were
thought
totally
was
Dragon Quest enemies.
Dragon Quest, but then I thought Wizardry,
Wizardry.
Mm.
but that's not right.
I only say Earthbound because of like the clever writing, like Kirby Took a Break, for
Yeah.
example.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, and also Hal, right?
Mhm.
The slime calls for help. I believe. And it goes like, the slime called for help, but nobody came.
That's
Oh,
our
no
Earthbound
way!
episode.
I love that. There's so many references in this game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like the
Holden-
sword beam, you know, being like the Legend of Zelda kind of thing. That's cool too.
Yeah, all the tons of items in Great Cave Offensive as well. Mario and Luigi are watching the
Mm-hmm.
fight and stuff.
Oh yeah, the
Not the
Megaton
fight,
Punch.
yeah, the Megaton Punch. Holden, I wanted to ask you about the soft sprites because you mentioned them, like the soft sprite look, and I don't know what you're specifically referring to because I see the hard outlines on all these character sprites.
If you look at Kirby not in this minigame, you'll notice he has like from outline to his inner. Oh, that's not gonna sound good to say. His center pink color. There's a kind of a banding, a gradient, and that's. I wouldn't say that's. It's a little atypical, but the way it's done is very competent in my opinion. It takes a very deliberate brush stroke to create that balance, and it looks really good and consistent between all the sprites.
Okay, because when you're talking about the soft sprites, I was thinking Dreamland 3 is all like soft pastel sort of look. And this is very different by comparison. Sorry, I went back to the sprites, but I couldn't not bring up Dreamland 3 sprites.
Oh,
you're talking about
totally, yeah.
That game has its own unique look, though. It's like it's supposed to look like a crayon drawing or something like that.
Mhm, yeah.
It's a
This
good
was-
game, though.
This was just a side neat little thing, but so my first Kirby game was Crystal Shards, so on the N64. So my introduction to Kirby was actually in Smash Brothers, like the original Smash. So seeing all of his moves that kind of came from this, like in that, like the fighter, like his down throw where he does the kicks,
Yeah.
like the suplex where he does the suplex, like he does the back
Yeah.
throw.
And
He
what's his
does
up
the dash attack,
Cutter.
like the cutter is his up B, the rock, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh my
yeah.
god, like they just
Yeah.
Kirby was the
Ru-
perfect character for Smash. They're like,
He
hey, he's
really
got all these
was.
abilities, now he does them.
Yeah, I mean
So-
that just goes to show, you know, Miyamoto was definitely gunning for his boy when they were making him. He was like, yeah, he was gaming.
You mean Masahiro
I'm
Sakurai?
Or
offended.
Masahiro, whatever, dude. You know.
Captain Falcon.
Dang. Well, no, you're out.
That's serious.
Oh, he killed the overlay, dude. Oh no.
It's back.
the overlay?
It's back. It's back. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that would happen. I'm
He's
sorry.
killing the overlay.
No, I just on that note, I really like not only Kirby's moves, but just like there's so much DNA, like Kirby DNA in Smash in general. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain
Oh,
more
yeah.
than just Kirby's moves,
Well,
but
the
like
No,
the
I-
items
visuals
and
alone,
stuff
you know?
too. Yeah,
Yeah. And there's a lot of like you can see that when Sakurai made Smash, like you can tell that the guy who made Kirby made Smash. Like so much of like how it like looks and how just like menus and stuff feel. I'm like, yeah, this is absolutely made by the same guy.
And on that note, the thing I forgot to say was I was so surprised how especially in the final level when you aren't really doing boss rushes, but when the bosses picked up a little bit, I was like, there's competent fighting mechanics in this game.
Mhm.
You don't really get to see it too much, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like very well thought out in my opinion, and like mechanically pretty complex. As frustrating as some of its nuances can be.
You know, I just realized something. Maybe a big part of why this game doesn't vibe with me a whole lot is because I experienced a lot of what this game established before I really played this game a lot.
That's yeah.
So,
So you
like,
kind of
I-
already been there and done that. So these little
Yes,
bite-sized things are like,
exactly.
yeah, well, I already had
Yeah.
this, the full course.
Exactly. Like, I've played Kirby games that came out after this that used what this established before I actually like played through this whole game. Because before this, I picked it up and was like, whatever, and put it down. It wasn't until now that I actually played through it. And so I think that might be a reason why it doesn't vibe with me as much.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's still, I mean, I think it's still a really good point that, like, it's a bit weird. And I can see how it would, like, if I was an adult and I got this, I mean, I don't know how many adults were, like, buying games like this. Like, back then, I wasn't kicking around, but, like, I might be a bit pissed off.
Yeah, that's actually curious. Like, what the like, obviously people loved this game when it came out, but like, were there people grumbling like similarly?
Man, this isn't Nate video games.
Yeah.
I got scammed.
I don't know. It's hard to say. You know
Yeah,
what?
I
As
just-
like as a kid, you know, you get so much more mileage because as a kid, these games are actually hard. Like I don't know about you guys, but the fact that I died a few times, I think means that like if I was a kid playing this for the first time, this game would have like still kicked my ass. Honestly, as like
So-
a dumb kid.
I think I must have been the only one here who actually thought there were parts of this game that were actually hard. From what it sounds
think-
like.
Yeah, that was
It might
the
be that
cakewalk
you
in
just-
general.
I think, like, forgive me for assuming, but like, I think maybe the controls, like, you just don't like the way Kirby controls in general.
It's
I don't know.
possible.
It's like earlier you were talking about how slow he was and he felt like a blimp. You know?
He is a blimp.
It does feel like a balloon. I had a run-in with a skill issue that I found out because I'm a doofus. It was on the chameleon boss where he hit me and I lost my power-up, and he would do his thing like where you're like you can inhale his like projectile and shoot it back at him, but he would do it at the highest point of the screen, and I couldn't hit him, and I would wait for him to come down, and he would be invisible and stick the tail out like when I could hit him, and it was just this insanely painful wait that I was like, oh my god. And then I just like got frustrated and like put the controller down or something and died, and I was like, whatever, I'll get the copy ability. But when you're in a boss room, you can't put your copy ability. I'm like, great, now I just have to suffer through this. Well, you can walk through the door behind you, put the copy ability, and go back in.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
so that like I'm fully like I would have sat here and bitched about that, but it was a me problem. So
I had a similar moment with a skill issue because there was a boss where I couldn't access any ability, and I didn't realize you could just eat the rocks that he was dropping and turn into a rock. It was the guy with it's the boss in the Great Cave Offensive. With
Oh
the
yeah,
Somebody-
maybe
the rock
that
hands.
guy.
Yeah,
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 they
it
changed
was-
his appearance in the second game.
yeah, I bet they did change his appearance.
I thought most of the bosses were more fun without abilities.
Really?
That's
Interesting.
I like the way they're designed. It's
there's a
cool.
very Kirby
Right.
feeling to not just spamming your ability.
That's what I'm talking about with this game. Like with how can you design intentional, intelligent boss fights or levels when you can have like 15 different abilities where you're just
Mhm.
like spamming bullshit everywhere? There was one like fight where it was like on the Meta Knight one where it was me and my homie versus 3 dudes, and I literally couldn't tell who was fucking up who. It's like a just giant kerfluffle, which is fine, but like it's so busy, it's impossible to really interpret. Whereas like the when you're fighting like the reactor core cannon thing and that it's like a gimmick. It's easy, but at least it made sense when doing it without an ability. I'm like, oh, this okay. I don't know. I like Kirby without abilities, I guess is what I'm coming to here. Like, but that's not Kirby anymore. So do I like Kirby?
That's so crazy to me because it's all about the abilities for me. It's all about the abilities. I mean, it just depends probably which one you got comfortable and happy with first, right? I mean, I think that the fact that there's like all these like something really cool that the friggin' remake does is you play the arena, but you play it as the secondary character, and you have to go through the arena with one ability, and you get like a medal for every single one.
Oh my god.
Cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. But like, you know, I feel like a lot of the abilities, you know, a lot of them are kind of just like reskinned onto other ones in terms of what you're able to do in a boss fight. So you know, like at the end of the day, like the yo-yo that you're doing right now is pretty much the same thing as the beam, really, with a little bit of different range. So you know, it can kind of work in any scenario against any boss. I find that like most of the boss fights, I'm hearing what you're saying, Colin, because like I was just like spamming abilities and shit, and like kind of just face tanking, and I would just win. I'd be like, okay, whatever. But then when you get to the arena, you can't do that anymore. You don't have the resources to do that, and you have to learn like the safe, efficient way to fight every single boss. And I feel like it makes me come to appreciate the boss fights more
Especially
when
by,
they're set up
the
like that.
6 game. I totally agree with that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
I love the
Plasma
arena,
and
man.
still spammed.
Bro,
Also,
yeah, absolutely.
The fact that all you get for beating the arena is sound test was disappointing, but at least you got something.
Oh, you guys gotta play the remake, man. You
I'm
guys
thinking
gotta play
about
the
it.
remake.
Nah.
You should. Trust me. You'll like it
Just
way
play
more.
Air Ride.
I would have put that
No.
on here if I was allowed to.
That game.
You
has
are allowed to,
achievements.
but do you want that? I'm not asking you that seriously.
Wait,
mean-
I was allowed to? I thought it's too new.
No, you can.
It's not.
GameCube games are.
No, the remake of this game. Like on the DS.
Yeah, that's fine.
Also not too new.
Yeah.
What?
DS is like 100 years old.
Fuck.
Yeah, DS is old, dude.
I thought it was too new. Oh my god.
No, the
Well-
only rule is that it's easily played.
Get a
I-
Accessible.
Oh my gosh, I failed you, Kirby Superstar. No.
I'm glad we played this version.
But I mean, that being said, I did want to like play something that I hadn't before, so maybe it's actually for the best. I was like, I'll try playing it. You know, at the end of the day, whoever enjoyed this game, seriously, play the second one. It has much more content, and it's much more polished, and it still looks really pretty.
What if I enjoyed it but hate remakes?
Well, then you stink. I don't know.
whoa.
All right, fellas, break it up.
Got a little personal.
No,
Start
man. You
smooching.
should
Give that
it's
Max some
good.
tomato.
You guys should try it. Get over here. What? Dude. Man, yeah, and this game in 2-player is like just dumb fun.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a whole different experience too.
Totally. Absolutely. I've tried to make it a point that like for games that I experienced as multiplayer that I play them as such for this because it's just way better most of the time when you're playing with another person. So I'm also like biased for so many reasons for this game, man.
Yeah, I can see that.
I tried to convince Rachel to play this with me, and she was like, "Nah."
What? Uh-oh. Now Rachel's on the
It was
chopping
good.
block.
It was good.
That is hilarious. If I may, I'd just like to. I don't know how many Kirby games y'all have played, but I'd like to just throw a few out there that you should try. Return to Dreamland, which is on the Wii. They also ported it to Switch. Great, fantastic game. Kirby 64, obviously. Canvas Curse. That one might be a little weird though, because it's a DS game, and pretty much all the gameplay takes place on the touchscreen. So playing with a mouse might not be the same. But Nightmare in Dreamland is good. Really good game.
Also, really good name. I really like that name.
Yeah, it's a great name. Yeah,
That one's
agreed.
Wii? Sorry?
Nightmare in Dreamland is Game Boy Advance.
Oh, okay.
Return to Dreamland is the
Right,
Wii.
okay, yeah, that's right.
Triple
there's so many-
Deluxe is great. Fantastic game. And the one you guys saw, may have watched me play recently, The Lost World.
It looked
Yeah,
really good.
It actually, you
That
know, I
game
was
was great,
absolutely like, Kirby's boring and blah, but I really enjoyed
Talking about
watching
a
you play
Switch
that.
That is the Switch one, yes.
Yeah,
Dude,
Kirby in the
That game's
Forgotten
post-game
World or
content
something.
is so good, dude.
yeah, I still have the arena to do in that game.
Do it, man. Oh, that game's good. Yeah,
I did the
agree.
arena and the true arena in triple deluxe, and dude, that's some of the most difficult
Yes.
video game content I've ever played in my life. Like, I'm not even joking.
Right, dude. Oh my god.
It's so hard, but it's rewarding to learn how to fight the bosses.
It is. Me and my
It's
brothers
cool.
would be like screaming, all three of us on 3 different DSs, doing different attempts, being like, "I got to marks, dude," and then they're just getting shit on.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of like the final boss battle? I think it's one of the best ones in the series.
I liked
be
I had a lot
it.
of fun with it. It was
Fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Stylish.
I loved like all of his attacks. Like the first time he landed, and I was like, why is he not doing anything? And then he looked at me and shot me with that giant laser. I was like, oh fuck.
Dude, it's so sick. Like how how he'll like split in half and he like opens up
And
a
the black hole. Yeah.
Oh man.
Am I the only one who did the ultimate, Smash Ultimate campaign all the way through?
Yes.
Yeah, the only person in the world, I
The
think.
World of Light or whatever it was called.
I do know what you're referencing. Though.
Yeah, that boss is featured in that game and is actually a really
No
cool fight.
way.
Yeah.
The only person in the world.
I couldn't make it past the theme.
Colors weave into
Oh,
a spire
yeah.
of flames.
I'm gonna leave.
I love how
Dude.
fucked up Scarfies look in this. Like they're pretty fucked up in Kirby
I did-
64, but they're like
didn't
weirdly
realize they're just
detailed and
blues.
rubbery. Ooh.
Yeah.
And they lose an eye, man.
One thing I love about Kirby is how it starts out like all cute and yay fun, but then you get to near the end of the game, it's like some Lovecraftian.
Yeah, cosmic
Eldritch
horror. Kirby's fighting
yeah.
space god, and you're like, what?
Yes.
That's-
And
I
what
love
I
it.
think is so cool about the final boss of this game is how he's like he's not just like a cosmic horror. He's like a dreamland resident and he's like kind of all like funny looking. He has this kind of like silliness to his very like macabre design. And I freaking dig him. He's
It looks like he
just
smoked a
so
lot
sick.
of ganja, a lot of whiskey
Yeah,
wood, if you catch my drift.
absolutely
That's
so
dumb.
true, man. I love him very much.
I mean, it's not the first time a Kirby just pulls the rug out under you. I remember being like, I love Kirby 64. I want to get all the shards. It's like, hey, there's a new boss, and he's bleeding from his single eye as you fight him in space. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
it always ends that way. It's so sick.
You know, according to Kirby lore, he is canonically the most powerful Nintendo character, like by
Oh, yeah.
far.
I believe
It's
it.
not even close. He's like
God amongst men.
he is basically a god. Like that's the lore. He's like, but he doesn't realize it. He's just like some cute little silly pink buff guy.
He just chills.
But like he doesn't realize that he's actually like a fucking all powerful like cosmic god.
Oh, he's getting clowned on by trees right now.
yeah, there's two of them, all right?
It's not
This is
canon
where
that he
I
dies.
realized, I was
Always
like, wait a minute. They don't have an invincibility flash. Like at that last bit there. I'm like, I'm finna dump. But not before I blow myself up
man.
with this ball.
Were you were you too stubborn to bring the CPU with you? Oh, never mind. I see you just pulled them out.
pulling it out.
For the most part, I just used it to dump an ability I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Sam,
Totally.
What's with this tree and why does he have to? Why does Kirby
20,000
hurt him every
advances.
single game?
Because the tree's got a
He's just minding
problem.
his own business. He looks fine.
I
He
think
gets really
Kirby
pissed
has
in
the
Dreamland 3.
problem.
He's had enough.
He's been victimized by Kirby long enough.
Like,
You know,
the tree can't move. He's stationary there. He can't leave Kirby
He
beating
he
the shit out
gets
of
so
him.
pissed in Dreamland 3 that he starts walking.
It's basically the story in every Kirby game is basically the same. Someone shows up and they like take over everyone's minds in Dreamland, and Kirby has to beat the shit out of everyone to knock them into their senses again. I think that's hilarious. dude. like everyone's just taking it. Everyone in Dreamland is so easily persuaded except for Kirby, and he's like, "Not this shit again." He just rolls up his sleeves and fucking
Yeah,
starts
it's like,
walking
oh,
it
here we
down.
go, another day.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, do you imagine you're like trying to fly like a ship and this little guy is coming in and he's just destroying the entire machine?
Yeah,
Like,
that's the funny part.
or a
Like in the
whole war
beginning of
machine.
like Meta Knight's Revenge, like they literally start. They're like, "Oh fuck, here comes Kirby."
oh, shit.
Kirby's
It's
10
really
clicks out.
funny.
He's
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
in quick. We have about
It
5
has
minutes.
awoken.
Yeah, I love Kirby, and it's funny too because his design visually, like, almost really couldn't get any more simple.
Yeah, it's like the
But,
simple.
like-
He's pink. He's got red feet, and he's got two
just
eyes.
an orb. Yeah, just in a pink orb, basically.
Mhm.
But like the world and his background and like everything else kind of like fills the gaps in
Hmm.
to make up for that simplicity.
Yeah, it's a
Would-
good
I think it's
juxtaposition.
brilliantly done. Yeah,
Would you guys
exactly.
say that this is the easiest game we played on Book Club so
No.
far? No. What was easier?
That baby game that we played last time. There was nothing but
found
whimsy
that
and holding
easy?
forward.
Yeah, Do-Re-Mi Fantasy
Do-Re-Mi
was
was
pretty easy.
incredibly easy.
It was very easy. yeah.
What? Oh my god, I died like 10. Okay, once again, I'm biased, I guess, but
Illusion of
that
Gaia
game
was also pretty
fucking
Whoa.
way
easy.
more. It was,
Guys, you said you memorized
No,
this game,
Illusion
right?
of Gaia
So-
was not
Yes, that's
easy.
true. It's
To
very
read
true.
the part where that lady
Did
had
you
been
fight those
making the carpet
vampires,
for
bro?
40
Dude, fuck
years,
those
man.
things.
The fight
Oh,
back
man.
tears, that was not easy.
No, I think this
Hey,
one
man.
was the easiest because what game did we Do-Re-Mi Fantasy? That one. It had
You
some
honestly
bosses
thought-
that were.
Those bosses are
What?
fucked up, man.
There were bosses like the snowman boss. Was that a snowman? I can't remember that game.
There were a few bosses that were tricky in Do-Re-Mi Fantasy, definitely.
Where
I
do you
don't
like? Do you guys like find games that are easy, like Do-Re-Mi Fantasy or Kirby, to be as enjoyable as games that are like that require you to lose and like learn to beat them? Like,
So
do you
I'm
think?
I'm okay with easy games as long as they're fun to play. Like as soon as it's
Mhm.
easy to the point of mindless, like that's what I was saying. Like this game was not particularly challenging, but it was still cool. Like look at Kirby's hat.
Engaging.
He throws
Do-Re-Mi
cutters.
Fantasy was much more mindless than this
Yeah,
game.
like you held forward and
was.
hit the attack button.
It was definitely, but it was. I was gonna say it's like taking drugs. You know, you just turn your brain off and just smile. And, you know, cut.
Escapism, man. That's what it is. Nah, that's fair. I
No.
just wonder that sometimes. I know
No,
some of you guys are
I
mega
do like a
gamers.
struggle. Like a challenge does add to my enjoyment. So if this game was
So, like,
harder,
that-
I probably would have liked it more because then it would have meant that I had to like get a little bit more dialed in. But I still
Mhm.
had a good time just doing my own thing.
Oh man, play
Yeah,
play. play it.
I'm totally fine with easy games in the same respect. Like conversely, though, Alien Soldier was so great because it was freaking hard, but also very fun to pop off in. You know,
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally.
so it's kind of almost apples and oranges for me at a certain point.
Yeah, for me, as terrible as I am at games, like I'm real bad at games, but I always appreciate something like if you need to focus and you need to.
Just sit up in your chair, hold the controller
Yeah.
tight.
The stance, getting the 3-point stance.
Yeah. And like if it's really challenging, then like there's a lot more room for something to be well designed versus like if there's no like if there's you can make mechanics that are like if they're so easy that you don't have to engage with them. I don't think that's good design. But if you have to actually engage with every mechanic, that's more just interesting.
I think making an easy game interesting is probably much harder than making a hard game interesting. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's
like
a
if you're
fair
a kid
point.
playing
That's a
this
fair point.
game, you know, it's kind of like it is kind of difficult, but like you know, if you're an adult who knows what they're doing playing this game, then there's got to be a little bit something more than just difficulty. You know, whereas like Dark Souls, you know, a lot of the game is padded out by its difficulty, and a lot of like the rush of the game is overcoming something difficult. But you
Mhm.
don't get that here, so it's just interesting to me that you can still make games enjoyable while being easy. I just think it's impressive, honestly.
That's
Yeah,
kind
not
of.
not. Oh, pardon, Corn.
I was just gonna say that's kind of why Nintendo is pretty. Nintendo's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of their shtick, isn't
they
it?
definitely know how to make games. They also know how to sue people.
Yeah, they know how to send. Yeah, they have good lawyers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's well, at least for me, kind of starting to bite him in the butt. Well, it's also because Wonder, not to talk about a super new game that all of us haven't played.
I still have to
I-
play it.
I don't like that they're leaning towards non-progressive difficulty, like open-ended difficulty. Oh, it really hurt that game for me. Like
Mm.
that's why I'm
I can
glad,
agree.
like the older Nintendo games, like have like a very linear. Well, not very linear, but there's a progression to the difficulty.
I think
whereas,
Dread is the only exception of that. Like even
and that's why
when I
Dread is
played the-
amazing.
And even when I play the other main IPs, you guys know I'm the only person in the world who likes Tears of the Kingdom. When I play that or Breath of the Wild or whatever, I'm always doing challenge runs to make it engaging for myself, you know.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Some games lean more into being accessible for challenge runs, though. Like
Mhm.
Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild are perfect for that shit. But yeah, sorry, tangent.
No, I mean, it's just like it's Kirby. At the end of the day, as a Kirby game, it's pretty simple. Either you like it or you don't. There's not that much to discuss. But
This is
I
the only
mean,
Kirby game I don't like.
I can't believe that, dude.
that I've played.
I can't
There's some I
believe
haven't
that.
played.
I can't accept it. I need you to change your opinion.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fix that.
Oh well. I'm so glad we played it.
Yeah.
Shall we put a bow on this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think we can go to our
This is the
closing.
fact Xanadu of Kirby's.
Hey, all right.
What? No, wait.
It's the clock tower of Kirby's.
Oh my god. Okay, everyone stop saying shit.
Yeah, it's the Minecraft of Kirby Dark Soul games.
All
All
right.
right,
Well,
we like to do this in reverse, reverse order.
Yeah,
I should do it
whatever.
first. What? I do last, right?
Yeah, Darth will get last.
Okay.
Holden, you'd be
Okay.
up.
So to rehash what I was saying, it's a very fun game. It's more mechanically complex than just being a flavorful game like Doremi Fantasy. I thought it actually made the most of its mechanics. If I also come from a standpoint of I like to try and push a game's mechanics when I get them. So it was a game that dazzled me immensely. I was still kind of learning weird little tech toward the end. And it had a high level of engagement from its art. The music was a 10 out of 10. Love this game's music. We barely even talked about the music. But for me, the game is a very solid 8 out of 10. I thought it was very thoughtful, had very fun experiences. And like I said, was a testament to Kirby's timeless design. And I want to explore more Kirby IPs after this. So short and sweet little experience, 8 out of 10. Happy to have played it.
Cool. Who's next? In
Luke,
the order
Chris.
we're going in. Chris.
Oh, I enjoyed this game. I really don't know what to say other than I think it's. I was gonna say it's inventive, but it's also, as we kind of talked about, it's kind of just quintessential Kirby. So I guess I haven't played a ton of Kirby games, so it was nice to. I don't know. It all kind of comes down to the copy abilities and stuff. It all feels really good, and just the aesthetic, it's incredible, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not going to give it a rating.
Oh my god.
No
0
halberds
rating?
out of Kirby's.
Nothing.
Nothing. All right, fair.
Holy.
That's too abstract.
Truly uninspired.
Truly.
Better not write that shit down.
It's already written down. It's already in the
On
concrete.
uninspired, Chris.
So yeah, I like this was not like, it's weird. Like I like that we played this so close to Doki Doki Doremi whatever. Because for me, this was like if they made that game, but enjoyable for me. Again, I'm gonna say for me, because there was nuance. There was at point in time like difficulty. So it was like it had a similar overall like feeling or vibe, as the kids would say, where it was like cheerful music, nice kind of everything was pleasant to look at, but it was engaging. Like I liked what I was doing, except for this fight that was on the screen right now that was like, what is going on? But it's episodic kind of layout, not my favorite. I like super wish that it had just been like, if it was just one cohesive thing with the deluxe copy, like not even with the deluxe copy, like it could have just been regular copy abilities where everything like now you're in the third world, that's the halberd, and then like you're in the final part of the game where like the real cosmic horror approaches. Like that would have meshed better than like, oh, I finished Dynablade, now I'm gonna go get frustrated in Great Cave Offensive, or I finished Meta Knight's Revenge, let me go sweat Samurai Kirby for 2 hours. Like it distracted from itself, which like while I see the benefit, like I do like the point of view Darth had where it's like Kirby can do anything. Like he's crazy. He can copy abilities and he can copy games. Like I like looking at it like that. Like that definitely opened my eyes. But overall, like there's a better way this game could have been presented for me that I would have enjoyed the experience more. But I still had a good time playing it and definitely put it a good 7.75. Like it was a good time.
That's a healthy score.
Yeah, weirdly enough, mainly because of Samurai Kirby and Megaton Punch. Like it was fun that like there were just dumb little games that like I could sink my teeth into.
All right, cool. And who's next? Is it me?
It'd be Colin.
Colin.
Okay. So my my subjective score is a 5, and as in how much I enjoyed it. And again, like I said at the very start, I loved everything about it except actually playing it. And that just, by which I mean I'm like talking art, music, sound effects. Everything is wonderful. Such a delight to play or to look at. I said the play word. Sorry.
P word.
I've kind of gone into what I don't like about it. In terms of playing, but generally that's where I am with it. So that's my score.
Well, did you have an objective or like your subjective?
Oh yeah, sorry. Subjective is a 5. Objective, I think. Okay, hang on. Let me clarify. So, subjective with playing the game, the whole package, my enjoyment was a 5. That's what I want to give this personally.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to rate this game sans gameplay, just everything else about it, it would probably be somewhere closer to a 9. Just like how it looks and how it sounds is
Mm-hmm.
really, really fantastic, presentation wise, right? But anyway, I'm not I don't want to split the hair too much. So anyway, for objective though, I think I'm gonna give it 7.75. That was also my score in terms of what I think it actually deserves,
Mm-hmm.
ignoring my own saltiness.
All right, super.
Cool. So I get what you guys are saying. Those of you who enjoyed it more than I did, and I understand how you could come to that conclusion. But for me personally, I experienced Kirby through other games, later games, before I ever played this. So all the inventiveness and nuance is something that I've been used to for a while already. And coming back and playing this, it's like, okay, yeah, that's nothing new or nothing special. That's Kirby. That's just how Kirby is. And I felt like the rest of the package fell short, like, besides the nuance and inventiveness and the depth with the abilities and so on and so forth. So just the overall presentation, the way this game was packaged, kind of ruined it for me. If I had to give it a score, give it a. I'm not. I mean, I'm not going to do 2 scores because I don't know. I just think it's a 6. It deserves a 6, objective and subjective. Sorry, Darth.
That's okay.
That's how I feel. 6.
It's okay.
And I think that's also being a little nice, just because I love Kirby. Like, if it was a different franchise package this way, I'd be like 4. But yeah, I
Clock
love Kirby.
Tower,
So.
Bonanza, 6 games in one, all the ham rumming you need.
I want to see a ROM hack of Clock Tower with Kirby just walking around everywhere.
That'd be way more entertaining.
That'd be pretty sick, dude. But yeah, 6.
All right,
Now it's
Darth,
me.
I was gonna say, want to fight it out with Super?
Yeah, I'm gonna fight Super.
No.
No, I mean, you know, like at the end of the day, I think this game is like pretty simple, fun, and if you're not really like jiving with the way it's presented or with the way that it plays, then it's just like it's gonna ruin it for you. For me, like I'm just like so used to this game and I love it so much that a lot of the things that people have problems with are just like a second thought. I'm glad that I got to hear these sort of some of these criticisms because I kind of feel like I have a bit of a new opinion, at least of this version of the game. I will say I really encourage anyone who liked or was on the fence of this game to please try Superstar, Ultra Deluxe, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, that's it.
Um, it's really good and it adds just like more content because I do think that the game sometimes it's just like you kind of get like a what that's it feeling, but I don't think people who feel that way I don't think they might feel that way about the second one. But anyways, um, playing this one was nostalgic and great, and the music and the art was still very much like the same as it was in my mind when I played it originally. It was a super fun two-player experience, and I was really glad to visit sort of like the prototype version of a very important game to me. And I think I will give it this version of the game. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for all the reasons that we discussed so far.
I respect
All
them.
right.
Also, I looked up an image of what Kirby Superstar Ultra looked like, and the first picture that came up is Kirby fighting that whale boss, and it says Kirby versus Fatty Whale. And I was like, well, it's not very nice.
That's not very nice.
Not nice at all. Is that where Darth gets his attitude from?
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
it all makes sense.
That's right. Like he's smoking the good stuff, man. Stuff that makes you mean.
The caffeine.
Oh, caffeine Darth. No.
Yeah,
No.
ooh. We don't talk about caffeine, Darth.
Oh,
Let's
I
not get
had to
into
cut
that.
down, man. It's giving me GERD. I got to cut down on it.
Good. It's probably better for the entire world.
Shut up.
If you're interested in Darth's GERD, tune in next month.
Tune in next time when we get an update.
Yeah.
Man, I wish this is absolutely a tangent, unrelated to everything. I wish Caffeine Darth got caught. I should have had the foresight to highlight that because the world needs to know. Super and I
No,
were
it's
victims.
Past young Darth is fucking is no longer with us. I'm glad that part of me is lost somewhere deep in the Twitch archives.
Tempered by both Monster Hunter World and me traumatizing you with Last Guardian.
And Super sending me that one clip
I
from.
Oh,
didn't
yeah, the
send shit.
Chun-Li.
I told you about it and you looked it up. Yeah, Chun-Li.
When I first started drinking coffee after I watched that, you know that? I sat down, I was like, okay.
Yeah, you wanted a cup of coffee after seeing that, huh?
I mean,
Cool.
I get it.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Are you gentlemen ready for what could
I can
be?
feel it. It's time.
Oh
It's time.
God! Are you? There is
I'll
literally
reiterate.
a 20% chance.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm ready.
It's time.
So we are down to just Chris's picks, and one of Chris's picks is Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest.
So my heart tells me Simon's Quest, but I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
save
going
the
to
shit out of that
land
game.
on Resident Evil.
Oh,
That's my
that's
guess.
a video game that I'm
Wait,
not gonna say
Resident Evil, you
anything about.
submitted PS1 RE1?
That's right.
The
Oh, let's
original,
go.
the very
Forgot.
original, not director's cut. The very first
Yeah, but
one.
what
Please
about
no.
the DualShock, whatever? But that puts us at, so we have 4 choices. We have, unless I'm missing something, Chris, please correct me. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Resident Evil 1, or Resident Evil, Crusader of Senti, or Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain. Is that correct?
That sounds right. I forgot about Blood Omen. My memory is so messed up. What are we
It's
talking
always the
about?
weird obscure one, man.
Where are
So,
we?
so there's a 25% chance we're gonna have a blowout here, but let's quit beating around the bush.
Spin. That wheel.
That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh
the
God,
time.
that wheel scares
That's
me,
the
man.
This wheel is
big
terrifying.
triangle.
Wait, was
I'm
it not
ready.
5? Wait, what?
Because
What are we missing here?
No, we've picked one of your picks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Legend of Mystical Ninja, game you hate.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, fuck that game.
What?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, fuck that game.
Fuck that game. It wasn't that bad.
Fuck you. All right. The towns were fine.
Very good game.
All right, Chris. If this
It was
lands
okay.
on Castlevania 2, I just want you to remember this moment.
Don't react. Don't react.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up and pee at the same time. Holy watched it again.
Oh, thank God. Oh God.
I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, I don't know
Neither
what
do
this is
I.
either. Is
Ni-
this some
wait,
porn
did
game?
Chris just say neither do I?
Let's take a look here.
It's a Sega Genesis Zelda-like.
Oh, God.
This is cool.
Last time I was told that, I had a very bad
I
experience.
had a panic attack.
Yeah, I've never played this, but I have heard of it, and I've seen screenshots of it. That's about it.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
Referring
I'm
to-
excited.
An opinion.
Referring to
That's
Faxanadu?
That's my initial impression, but you never know.
Let's hope it's not another Mystical Ninja and I can actually finish my own pick this time.
Listen,
Fingers
I don't
crossed.
like this mystical ninja slander going on right now.
Same, dude.
Well, we will all become mystical ninjas and crusaders of Senti and meet back here next month for what will be episode 14. Whew, working our way towards 20 of Video Game Book Club, also known as Seriously Casual. Super, Holden, Chris, Darth, Colin, thank you for joining me. Always an extra special good time, and appreciate you guys joining
Absolutely.
us.
Always a
doing this.
blast. I love
Yes, thank you for
Very
having
much,
me.
gentlemen.
Of course. All right, and
Thank you for
everybody,
having us, Darth.
everybody in the studio audience,
Yeah, man. Thanks for sharing
thanks
your
for
opinions.
thanks for being here as well. But until next time,
it.
I will see all you guys later. Thanks for discussion. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.
I'm gonna stream Dark Souls 2.
Okay, bye.
All right, see you guys.
He's gonna stream Dark Souls too. All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a good one, everybody.